Welcome, everyone. As Davida said, I'm Dr. Joe Pojman. I'm Executive Director of Texas Alliance for Life, and it is great to see everyone here and those who I can't see who are online. To all those present in Austin and those watching online, we are so glad that you're here. Our Leadership Circle is a special way for individuals, organizations, churches to get involved and support the life-saving work of Texas Alliance for Life through an annual financial donation of between $1,200 and $10,000 or more. And we have almost 300 Leadership Circle members, and we're grateful to each of you. To those current Leadership Circle members who are here in person and watching online, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. If you're interested and decide to join either in person or online, you can join these hundreds of other people who are really the powerhouse of this organization. Visit our website at texasallianceforlife.org. You're going to be in very good company. Ever since the Supreme Court's terrible and tragic Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision 48 years ago, the federal courts have blocked dozens and dozens of state laws that protect unborn babies before viability. Viability is when the baby can, if born alive, can live outside the womb. So any of these laws that protect babies before viability are being blocked, and that's been going on for decades. The Supreme Court has tied the hands of the legislatures and prevented them from doing any more. Texas has a ban on abortions in the last half of pregnancy. That's just about the time of viability, so that law has not been challenged. That's saving lives, but anything before that is going to be blocked. Consequently, we have tens of thousands of abortions each year in Texas, more than 57,000 in 2019. We are hopeful, but not certain, that the three new Trump appointees to the Supreme Court may change that. We hope the court will take a fresh look at Roe, unencumbered by that terrible precedent, and give our legislators in Texas and around the state more latitude to protect unborn babies before viability. Now, a lot of states have tried, and there are 60 state laws protecting babies before viability that have been blocked by lower courts that could be vehicles to overturn Roe v. Wade or just modify Roe versus Wade. The court has to take that case up and then consider the law. Now, one of those is a Mississippi law that bans abortions before viability, but beginning at 15 weeks. The case is Dobbs v. Jackson's Women's Health Organization. We are sitting on the edge of our seat because all these months the court has not announced whether they're going to take this case. Now, it's expected that they're going to release their decision to take or not take this case at the end of their session in late June or early July. If they do take the case, folks, that could be the case we have been waiting for. A vehicle the court could use to scale back or even overturn the terrible Roe v. Wade precedent. We're going to keep you posted, so open those emails when we send them to you. As you know, Texas Alliance for Life, as you know, the Texas legislature is meeting right now through May 31st, midnight to be exact. My staff and I have been working in the Capitol almost every day, almost every weekday, and now we're preparing for weekends. That amazes us because 6 months ago, no one knew how the legislature could even function safely in the midst of a pandemic. Well, we all get tested each morning outside the Capitol in huge tents run by the National Guard. And I'm told that they have been doing as many as 1,500 tests a day. And to our knowledge, no one in the Capitol, legislators or staff or public lobbyists like us, have gotten sick. Fantastic. Then we generally wear our masks in the many meetings. So it's working. The very good news is that pro-life bills are moving. And we are on track to have several wonderful pro-life bills on pro-life Governor Greg Abbott's desk, hopefully in a matter of weeks. And he is eager to sign those bills, as he has many times in the past. Now, a lot of thanks go to, we're not done yet, we're not done yet, but a lot of thanks goes to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Speaker Dade Phelan, both of whom are very pro-life. So that's absolutely huge. A priority for Texas Alliance for Life this session, and folks, we're prioritizing those laws which are really going to do measurable good and withstand a federal court challenge. The other side is very good at filing lawsuits and blocking our laws. We have two laws from 4 years ago before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals right now that are not in effect. Our priority for Texas Alliance for Life this session, and our partners, the Texas Catholic Conference of Bishops and Texans for Life, is the Human Life Protection Act. Now, the Human Life Protection Act is a complete ban on abortion, beginning at fertilization, that goes into effect when and to the extent the Supreme Court reverses or modifies Roe v. Wade. So this law is bulletproof once it passes. You can't challenge it in court because it doesn't go into effect until the Supreme Court acts. Now, that bill has passed the Senate. That is Senate Bill 9. And the author, we're going to talk about in a few minutes. In the House, it's carried by Representative Giovanni Capriglione. Some of you may remember he spoke at this luncheon 2 years ago. And he's from Tarrant County. That bill is House Bill 1280. Now, the Senate bill has passed the Senate. It's over in the House. That House bill has passed out of the Public Health Committee. So we're waiting to see which one is going to be the vehicle to get to the governor's desk, whether it's the House bill or the Senate bill. I tell these folks, it doesn't make any difference if it's House bill or Senate bill. I know they have pride of ownership, but it's going to protect the babies just the same. But anyway, we are very excited about that bill. We will be joining, I think it's now 10 states, maybe another state has recently passed the Human Life Protection Act. So we're going to be in very good company, and it will make Texas a leader in passing pro-life laws. And by the way, our legislature, we're going to use vanity to our favor because they like being a leader. So now if the Supreme Court changes this precedent and allows states to protect non-viable unborn babies, Texas needs that law. We need to have it ready so that it will go in to the extent allowable under the new precedent. That's the Human Life Protection Act. Now, and the governor won't have to call a special session if that happens. It's already there, ready to go into effect to the maximum extent possible. Now, while abortion remains legal, another priority is to enhance our state's RU46 chemical abortion safety protocols. The Biden-Harris administration, and we've been protecting this. We have been ready for this, and we have been expecting this, that the Biden-Harris administration will block the FDA's protocols, safety protocols for this dangerous method of abortion. By the way, chemical methods of abortions are have 4 times more complications for women than do surgical abortions. And it's no surprise that a pro-life organization is also pro-woman. While abortion is legal, we do not want women to be harmed during abortion, and we want to promote compassionate alternatives to abortion, and we do that, but we should not let these abortion providers harm women. State Senator Eddie Lucio Jr. from Laredo has authored Senate Bill 394, and that one has already passed the Senate. It's over in the House. Representative Stephanie Click from Tarrant County also has authored the House companion 2337. That also got voted out of the Public Health Committee. So these bills are moving. Now we've got some other priorities, including continued funding for the state's highly successful Alternatives to Abortion program. The legislature appears to be adequately funding that program this biennium. Who was up last night at 10:30 watching the House pass its budget? The Senate's already passed it. Raise your hand. Okay, everyone has their hand. For you online, everyone has their hands raised. Okay, our staff was monitoring there very closely, and we were provided some input. They are funding that program and probably increasing the money. It's not a done deal yet, but it looks like it's going to increase from $80 million per biennium to maybe $90 million per biennium or more. And that money is needed because those organizations who are funded, pro-life pregnancy resource centers, adoption agencies, maternity homes, they do a fantastic job. And that is a really good use of our public money. Ensuring that medical students and residents are not coerced into participating in abortions during their training. We thank Senator Donna Campbell for authoring that bill, Senate Bill 1439, which we expect to pass the Senate very soon, hopefully Monday or Tuesday. We have a similar bill moving in the House. Now that bill is the brainchild of Tim Von Dolen, who a lot of you know, who is a former state representative and is one of our Leadership Circle members, which is a great honor to us. And I got to walk the halls with Mr. Von Dolen and to lobby for that bill, and that's a great honor for me personally. We also need to prevent the city of Austin from using tax dollars to promote abortion, now at $500,000. Senator Donna Campbell, again, has Senate Bill 650, and Representative Candy Noble has House Bill 1173. Now, we heard from Representative Noble in January at our luncheon. Those bills are both doing very well. Now, there's a number of other things I could mention, but I just want to highlight one, and this is not a happy topic, but it's a very important topic. Improving the dispute resolution process in the Texas Advanced Directives Act, which we strongly support. Now, 22 years ago, the Texas legislature passed, and we were part of this, unanimously, and Governor George W. Bush signed into law, a dispute resolution process in the Texas Advanced Directives Act. That's a process that is rarely used, but it's very important each and every time it does. When there's a disagreement over life-sustaining medical interventions for a terminally ill patient. And this comes up typically when the patient is terminally ill and the surrogate is asking for interventions that prolong the patient's death, but in a manner which is extremely causing great pain and suffering. And that is merely prolonging their death days or weeks. We oppose two bills, Senate Bill 917 and House Bill 2609, which would gut our very successful law that protects patients from those really inhumane medical interventions. And if that bill was passed, it would require doctors to perform any medical intervention on a terminally ill patient, no matter how painful or harmful or how ineffective, merely at the request of the surrogate. Folks, I think we all understand this, but it's a hard one. We do not believe that's a pro-life position. So we want to make this law stronger, and come to find out, Texas is in the majority of states. They have a dispute resolution process, 26 states, and a little bit of research on our part found we already have the best law in Texas with the most protections for patients and the families. So we don't want to gut that law. We want to make it stronger. So we do support Senate Bill 1944, again by Senator Lucio, and House Bill 3099 by Representative Garnet Coleman. So that's a sample of the bills that we're working on. It's a joy and a privilege to do that, but also pretty maddening at times. Some of these hearings go very late, and you have to listen to everybody. The success of this session, whether these bills get to the governor's desk, is dependent on us, grassroots people who call our state senator and our state representative and ask them to support these bills. Without that, we don't have, that's where our muscle comes from. Our muscle comes from the calls and emails that grassroots people get, the ones who live in the districts of these legislators. So how do you know who your state senator is? How do you know who your state representative? Sign up on our email list, as everybody here is, I'm sure, and we make that very easy for you, and I get a lot of compliments when people email them back. Thank you for making it so easy to contact our state senator or state representative. So this really is imperative. if you know, all these things are important. The pregnancy resource centers, critical. Praying at the outside the abortion facilities, absolutely critical. Education, absolutely critical. But right now, folks, contacting our state senators and representatives is absolutely critical. And we will have a measurable, as we have had in the past, a measurable decrease in the numbers of abortions and humane treatment for our vulnerable patients. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Okay. The question is, with 57,000 abortions a year in 2019, how does that compare to previous years? Well, 2019, 2018 were slight increases compared to previous years. 2018 and 2019 were slight increases compared to previous years, but generally we've had a sensational decrease in abortions in Texas. Over the last 10 years, abortions have plummeted in Texas by 20,000 per year. They were about, in 2010, abortions were, as I recall, something like 77,000 abortions in 2010, and they have plummeted now to 2019. We're a little bit concerned because they are on a slight increase. It's 2019 over 2018 and 2018 over 2017. But the trends have been fantastic. And remember, folks, the population of Texas is booming. So the abortion rate is really low. Another really important figure is the abortion ratio. Of pregnant women, what percentage of them choose to have an abortion, or which percentage choose to give birth to the babies? And in Texas, about 82 or 83% of all pregnant women end up giving birth, as opposed to abortion. Now that number has also really improved over previous years. That's a really good trend. We want that number to be zero, of course. Yes, all abortions. Then the question is, does that include medical abortions, RU46, chemical abortions, and surgical abortions? Yes. And Texas law requires that every abortion, no matter the method, be reported to the state, and that ends up on the state's website. That's how we know. Tom, okay. One of our guests, even though he's extremely intelligent, is not able to write down all those numbers. So I'm going to, we need to do a blog post on those numbers, but basically, over 10 years, abortions in Texas have plummeted by about 20,000 per year over the last 10 years. So that's the trend. That's the good news. We have obviously 57,000. It's unthinkable. So we have tremendous amount, but we're moving in the right direction, typically.
So I think he was talking about
the bill numbers. Okay, the question was, what are all the bill numbers? Thank you. What are all those bill numbers that we're tracking on our? Okay, we're getting a little Texas A&M versus University of Texas going here. Some of this I'm not going to repeat, but the point is, on our website, texasallianceforlife.org, we have a prominent place on there, our legislative priorities. And so you can see the bills that we're tracking. And let me just say, there's a lot of pro-life legislators, and a lot of them really want to introduce pro-life bills. Great, we like that. But there's some that are really going to move, and some that are really going to have a real impact. So those are the ones that we get behind. We're just grateful to all of these legislators who want to do some good stuff, and that's awesome. That shows what a great state we are. Another question. Okay, question is, what about minorities, African American women in particular? How do they figure in? And it's not good. It's not good. The majority of abortions in Texas are performed on women who are Hispanic or Black, African American. That's the majority, strong majority. So it's not good. I'm going to have to look. The question is, what about trends? And I'm going to have to look and see how the trends are, especially since we kind of recently got new numbers from the state on their website. And they're now, thanks to a bill that was passed a couple of sessions ago, we now have monthly numbers, so we can kind of see what happened. I'm really interested to see what happens to all these numbers during the governor's order that all non-emergency medical procedures had to be stopped. Remember that in March for 60 days? It wasn't a ban on abortion, it was just a delay. But there weren't supposed to be any abortions going on, and my quick look at the numbers, there were a lot of abortions going on in March, and they shouldn't have been. So I want to look over that and analyze this. Once the session ends and we take a little bit of breather, so that'll be on June 2nd, we're going to start looking at those numbers. Right, staff? Okay. Yes. You know, the question is, how does Texas compare to other states in these, and are we an example for other states? Answer, we compare very well, and we are and many of the laws that we have passed here are emulated in other states. We were one of the early states that we weren't the first that had the Alternatives to Abortion program, and I think we are by far the most well-funded Alternatives to Abortion program. A number of other laws that we've had, really good parental consent laws, we've done a tremendous amount. Now you can, it's kind of a fun thing to other states that we all want to stick our chest out and say we're the best state, and that's a lobbying tool with our legislators, is that, you know, appeal to our Texas vanity, that we want to be the best state. The governor has said that Texas really is a national leader, and he's right. We're a fantastic leader. A lot of states are passing laws. Some of these laws, frankly, are going to get blocked. So I really think we are strategic in what we have done, and the numbers show it. So you can argue about who's the strongest state and so forth. That's a great competition to have. We like that. But I think people do look to Texas, and for good reason. We're doing a great job here, folks. We haven't finished yet, so we're going to see when the dust settles in just after the session ends on, as I said, midnight on May 31st. Question over here. You know, this is something we don't think. The question is, what happens when a law gets blocked in the courts? Attorney's fees for the other side. Well, we really want to be strategic, and we want our laws to work and actually save lives. If a court blocks a law under federal law, if it's blocked in the federal courts, then the losing side has to pay the attorney's fees for the winning side. So that means if we pass a law that's blocked in the federal courts, Texas has to pay the attorney's fees for the other side. We get weaker and they get stronger. Classic example of that was we passed what we thought was a great law. The Supreme Court's going to just bless that easily. It was in 2013. Remember House Bill 2? And it had 4 pieces, 2 of them which are working, but 2 of them were blocked by the federal courts. 2 of those pieces. A requirement that doctors have privileges. Doctors who do abortions have privileges in the local hospital. All of our doctors have privileges at local hospitals, but not all the abortion doctors. So we thought that was an easy one. Raise the safety standards at abortion facilities to the safety standards at outpatient day surgery centers, ambulatory surgical centers. We thought that was easy. If a woman has a miscarriage and she has to have a surgical procedure, that's going to be done at a hospital emergency operating room or an ambulatory surgical center. So that's the medical procedure after an abortion is the same as an elective abortion. So we thought that'd be an easy one. No, the Supreme Court blocked it, said, Texas, you may not enforce that. We got assessed $4.5 million in attorney's fees, and the Attorney General got that cut back to $2.4 million, which the legislature is voting to pay. We have to. That's federal law. So we've got to be careful and not be reckless, because we don't want to arm the other side and make us weaker, especially arming the other side. I know we have this huge budget, billions of dollars. What's a few $1 million? Well, it's a few $1 million with taxpayer dollars. But more than that, it's arming the other side and making them stronger. And we have to be very careful about that. Maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Yes? Good question. What about sanctuary city for the unborn ordinance that are passed? A number of cities in Texas have passed these ordinances. I just love it so much that these little councils, and some of these towns are like 400 population or more. Salado is considering that, maybe? Okay. I love 2,500 at Salado. Okay, I don't want to shortchange you.
2 of them are here.
Two of them. So two Saledoans are here. How many are left? That's-
2,500
okay, -2. Okay. Anyway, it is so awesome that, especially in rural communities in Texas, there's this zeal to protect unborn babies and mothers from abortion. So there's this movement to pass an ordinance that would ban abortion and to would allow any individual in the state of Texas to sue anybody who performs an abortion. Okay, sounds great. However, Roe versus Wade, Planned Parenthood v. Casey, the Supreme Court won't allow cities to ban abortions, nor the state, nor will they allow anything like allowing people to sue abortion doctors. They're just not going to allow that. So a number of these cities have passed those. I mean, I'm so encouraged by the efforts of these people trying to get this done. But it's not likely to withstand the federal court challenge, and then they'll have to pay whoever, they're going to have to pay the attorney's fees for the other side. City of Lubbock, there was a grassroots movement to put a sanctuary city ordinance on the ballot. Early voting is going on in Lubbock and City of Lubbock right now, and the election is May 1st. I hope that passes because we want to show Planned Parenthood. They just opened up an abortion facility, and they're doing abortions in Lubbock. Again, for the first time since I think it was 2013 or 2014, they stopped doing abortions. So they haven't had an abortion facility in Lubbock. You know, you've got Texas Tech, other things going on there. There's some great pro-life pregnancy resource centers. But that, we want to show Planned Parenthood they're not going to push us around. But the fact is, in all likelihood, unfortunately, that law is not going to sustain a federal court challenge if Planned Parenthood challenges it, unless the Supreme Court acts really soon. But in the meantime, it just doesn't look really good that that's going to withhold it. That's what our attorneys are telling us, and national caliber attorneys. Maybe one more question. That was a really good comment about the need for more involvement of churches. You know, what is the church standing up for the innocent unborn babies, the mothers, promoting alternatives to abortion? Needs to happen more. Afterwards, let's talk about your church and any other ideas, because we want to do that. Just great. It's just a natural place for our stuff. So let me say this: if anybody's got any church that wants to help us, great. Also, I've got a very practical way that you can help us promote life in your churches, and Lance and Kurt are going to talk about that in a minute. That's our Walk for Life. A couple more things I'm going to wrap up on. We're having one of our board members is Claire Caldwell. You've seen her speak at the rallies and so forth. Great lady. She is a young woman who was adopted, and she discovered that she had been aborted and survived an abortion as an infant. And she's on our board of directors, and we're getting to know her really well. She's a fantastic lady. Grew up in Austin. She has a new book. I'm going to hold this up. It's called Survivor by Claire Caldwell. It's her story. So buy the book. Help promote this. It's just a great story. And I also just want to ask my staff, of those of you who are here, not everybody's here, but if you're my staff, could you please stand up so we can recognize you, because you're doing an awesome job. Okay, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lance Peterson and Kurt. No, there's Anita back there. Thank you, Anita. Okay.